Welcome to the Moxo podcast. I'm your host, Christy Lamberjack. Today, I will be speaking with Haroon Juma, Managing Director of Simply Solved. Simply Solved is a forward-thinking, FTA-accredited tax agency based in Dubai, offering quality-based advisory, project, and outsourced services tailored to UAE regulations. We'll explore how Moxo is integrated into Simply Solved's workflow, from automating routine tasks to ensuring secure document management and compliance with industry regulations. Join us as we dive into how Simply Solved leverages Moxo to streamline their operations, enhance client experiences, and drive efficiency, setting a benchmark in the industry for quality and innovation. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Haroon. How are you?
I'm very well, Christy. Glad to be here.
Good. Thanks for joining. So just to start us off, can you tell us about Simply Solved, what you all do, what services you offer, a little bit of background about the company?
Yeah, so Simply Solved is actually a brand that covers 5 distinct service lines. So we specialize in supporting SMEs in the UAE and the GCC operating internal procedures. Most companies that come to us usually start their journey off doing important things that are mandatory to their business where they need specific expertise, things in the area of tax and finance. And that carries on into lots of other conversations for us because they really like the idea of working with us in the way we work with them. And that goes into other internal areas like HR and payroll, in terms of marketing, in terms of implementing other IT systems. And eventually they talk to us about, specific business advice to help grow their business and to improve operational efficiency. So we also have a ISO consulting company that helps to implement ISO standards for them. So it's quite a broad church of things. Essentially, we have the expertise to help them through a lot of internal operational requirements. And we have a very good way of operating with them because they get one person and they get a lot of expertise, and we understand them intimately, and we can try and make things work more efficiently. So that's really what we're about. We're about trying to simply solve their company's problems.
It sounds like you work with mostly startups, or what kind of businesses do you work with?
Our client base is quite broad. Either they tell us, give us some advice, give us some insight, give us some guidance, and that can range from startups to larger organizations, 500 personnel, that sort of size. And it goes all the way down to startups who don't really have the internal know-how, and they need someone to kind of help them through their journey and to guide them and to operate certain aspects of their business, particularly as a startup, you're just focused clearly on revenue growth and getting things to market and building your value prop. And monetizing that, and they don't really have expertise and know how to deal with a lot of the things that run a company, and they would like us to take care of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's so many, different business laws and tax and everything like that. So to have this idea for a business or to run this business and be thinking about big picture and growth.
In the past, ironically, GCC and the UAE was a very benign compliance and reporting environment. Very little, hardly anything, because there were no taxes, there were no rules per se. There were, but they weren't really heavily enforced. But since 2018, there's been increased legislation on taxes, on reporting, on compliance. Further, obligations on businesses to make sure they live within the boundaries of the legislation, greater regulation. And that's because the economies in the GCC are trying to grow and position themselves as a real trading hub. And that means they have to play by the same rules as other mature economies. And that means more regulatory oversight. So that means companies have to comply. And that needs more expertise, know-how, understanding. And the UAE and the GCC countries here have a very singular method of enforcement, which are very punitive fines. So companies can run into trouble quite quickly without a lack of understanding. And as I tell my clients, my job is to save you from fines. Use your resources to grow the company, not settle up small things and mistakes that could have been easily remedied.
Did is that when Simply Solved came to be around 2018 when the with more of those legislations in?
Yeah, 2017 we started, and really it was a very clear understanding that the economy here was like the Wild West, and clear understanding of how to control, report, manage risk wasn't really evident for many companies, particularly within the volume end of the market. And the economy here in the Gulf is very skewed towards SMEs. 95% of the economy here in the UAE are SMEs. So large enterprises don't exist a great deal, and if they do, they're very government orientated, or they are big family controlled businesses. So quite a big segment of the market needed that assistance, and that's really where the brainchild, the idea came into force. That really, in order to help them, it's more difficult to train them, more difficult to educate, and it's better for them to just say, look, find a good way of working with us, find a good way of dealing with all these aspects, and also in the process give us more insight of our company's state. Yeah, and that's what we've been able to do, because we spend a lot of our time and expertise in simplifying and digitizing and automating and systemizing internal procedures. And that has a lot of latent value in the data. And then we present that and allow us to give them a little bit more insight on what is a good way to transform certain aspects on your business, cost or revenue based. So that's been a really good spin-off. Yes, it starts off as a foundational requirement on make sure we do things right and make sure everything's under control and find an easy way of working with us. But the data we hold as a result of that gives us unique insight for us to come forward and explain that there is a better way, and this way is not expensive, it's simple, and you have the ability to operate the company with a little bit more insight rather than gut feel and judgment. Data has value, let's use it.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like even more so than outsourcing a lot of the accounting and HR to you, to Simply Solved, you act as part of the company.
Mm, absolutely, and we have very close relationship with clients, and we encourage that. Our culture is about collaboration. The way we want to, engage with clients, the way we connect teams to teams, to have that open communication, that dialogue, that insight, to listen to them. So I always encourage, all the team, and I know everyone and most of the clients, that who they are, how they work, how we want to work with them, and what their challenges are. And they volunteer a lot to us. Some things we can help with, some things we are unable to. Um, but typically they feel comfortable asking us the question first. And that's what I really would like. That's a benchmark of whether we are a real partner to them. If they run into a problem, are we the first people to call? And if that's the measure of our relationship, I'm very happy.
That makes a lot of sense. And that brings me to Moxo. How did you discover Moxo?
Someone reached out to me and I said, okay, let's explore this. It sounds like a good idea. We have been using alternative methodology and tool sets to build that whole working engagement and ensure it's fully controlled and reportable. We were using other things to help us enable this. But the conversation started off, why don't you have a look? Why don't you come at least have a demo? So I said, fine, let's have a demo. Let's explore this and understand whether this might be a more integrated model rather than using several tool sets, and whether we can make this a universal model rather than building that tool set for the larger client to use it for the whole client base. And does it allow us to basically connect disparately located teams together more effectively? And that was the initial, primary requirement, is to think about can we connect our organization and the client organization better? And does it give more control? And how would that look like? And would it be, sufficient? Does it meet the client's needs? Because they're obviously the most important component in this. If they don't take to it, we cannot work. How can we make all of this connect together? And does that give me the ability to ensure, from a client point of view, we do a better job? So that was the initial requirement. And we explored quite a lot after that in terms of functionality. Will it achieve more of what I'm looking for? Two, will it grow with me? Can I see that roadmap? Can I understand that this will, grow into meeting my requirements more and more as the product evolves? Three, is the company a good company? Do they listen? And do they deliver on time? Are they financially viable? Will they stay around a long time? Because I can't be swapping things. It's not very effective. Does it have an ROI? And does it give me a differentiator? Yeah, and that was really the exploratory aspects of our conversation with Moxo was, does it achieve all of this? And do I feel comfortable and confident? At the end of that initial assessment, yes, it gave me more. It allowed me to do more with it. It allowed me to connect more. It's a good way of working. Not every client is a high intensity client. Some are very small. They don't really have a lot for us. But we're able to use Moxo even on those scenarios. Yeah, and they don't have to be frequently on the platform. They can use the email messaging, for example, into the platform, and we are able to manage them internally from the Moxo interface. So there's been kind of a growing journey for us, and we're using it extensively, not only just for the finance business, but across all the business lines.
And as somebody who is so focused on efficient processes for your clients and so client-centric, what was it about that demo with Moxo that you saw, I think this will work in our efficiency and help our own processes that we can present to the clients?
The first thing I saw is integrate collaboration. Now, that was the primary, can we connect our teams that are here physically somewhere else, operate as a team, and operate with the client as a team? That was the first thing. Does that share and allow us to explore and engage with one another in a more efficient and effective way? Full stop.
Yeah. And I'd imagine too that you need a secure portal. I don't know if that played into it, the bank grade security, but
yeah, the security, of course, I spent time on looking at what they were doing on the security side, whether it was SOC compliant, all these sort of things, and it was perfectly okay. It's security, and the way they've built the system with user rights gave me comfort and confidence. There will be no data leakage between custom conversations. That was quite clear, quite important. So security, of course, is highly sensitive for us. We cannot breach confidentiality.
right.
And Moxo gave us more control on the security side.
It's great. And can you talk to me about how you use Moxo? Can you walk me through how?
Yeah, so we have two forms of operating model. One is project, one is a continuous service, things we do ongoing. So within Moxo, if it's a project, we use the flows itself, right? So we design the flow, we set the flow up, I sit and brainstorm with the team, how does this flow need to look like? Now, the flow can be tailored towards internal tasks or tailored towards client tasks, or a mix of both. Now, our agenda is not to create long flows. We want to keep things simple, but not miss out key elements, and to also provide a little bit of transparency to clients that these are non-trivial exercises. We have to go through things in a way that give you comfort and confidence that we're not skipping things, that they're done in the right possible way. But our flow structures have a certain number of design principles. So we use the flows for projects, each task with a set of design principles, with a limit on the number of steps we'll put in each flow, with a high level of client-related input and request, with some clarity on what we're doing. And then we finish it off with a little review, with a questionnaire on how did we do? Were you happy with our service? So a customer feedback. And that customer feedback link goes into our survey tools, right? And they give me reports. So that's the way we design flows. So project-based for that. Anything ongoing-based, we use conversations. It's a mix of both would be really, really nice, because we have repetitive monthly cycles and we use conversations for that. In reality, we use both, and we use the project flows extensively across all the business, and the conversation flows in our service-based engagements.
And what has been the reaction from clients, and what has been the feedback for them to have those flows, sort of that task list to understand the steps?
It gives them confidence and comfort, right? I mean, initially they're like, whoa, all this, wow, I'm overwhelmed, but then I explain things. We usually schedule a kickoff in every of our projects, and we discuss and we explain the flow steps. There's a lot of embedded documentation inside the flows. We put in a lot of explanatory guides. I do a little video for each of the projects to go through and summarize these little steps. So I do a lot of selling at the early part of the flow steps. They understand, they buy into it, they see the relevance, they get a sense of, this is what's in it for me. And when they get there, when they understand that, they tend to feel, okay, I get it now. I will use this, and I'll use it more extensively.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's a lot less overwhelming than emails and long threads and lists.
Of course. And of course, for them, it's, one place to look. We're not losing information. I'm always explaining, do not leave your data redundant on one person. We need to have multiple eyes on this. Everyone has a specific skill set, and the things we do require disparate skills and capabilities and expertise. Tax is different to accounting. HR is different to tax. So we need teams connected, and that collection of skill sets delivers more value. And that's what I'm always explaining. The team concept of how we operate within the context of Moxo creates more value. It provides greater assurance and more control and better advice.
What has been your experience knowing that there are certain processes that are templatized, having that transparency where it's not just all over email? And I wonder if that's something that you can speak to from a management point of view.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that reduces templatizing, standardizing steps and procedures. We are already ISO certified as a company, so we operate to 9001 and 27001 standards. So define standardized procedures, understanding any risks and fixing those, very important. Using standardized workflows gives control. We cannot miss out important aspects. And of course, what it does is it reduces training. I don't have to explain every last step and what it entails, because the flows we've built have a fair number of user guides and explanations embedded with text or with documents. So for anyone coming into doing something new, right, we have offline documentation, but there's also the Moxo flows that provide clarity on, flow steps and procedures. So it reduces training requirements and it has control.
Definitely. Since you're focused on data, I was wondering if you have any metrics around how Moxo has either improved efficiency and it decreased length of time for different processes.
Yeah, so we measure quite a lot. Now, when we started, our client base was X, our client base is Y. And as your client base increases, complexity grows exponentially. Not linearly, but exponentially, ironically, which we kind of knew would be the case, so we needed something to kind of control all that. It's difficult to say, here's a relative percentage, because with that exponential complexity curve, all I could say is that we have not found risk increase. It's contained and reduced the degree of risk and control. It's ensured we are delivering our service deliverables on time, without fail, with an increased client base. We've not had to increase resources at the same pace as our client base, so we've been able to reduce the resource consumption. So it's definitely had an impact on OPEX. We've not had to hire as many people as we thought we would because we've got more efficiency. We've not had to put in more procedures to control because of the client base increase because of the complexity, and we're doing more complicated things. Yeah, so it's definitely had a definite benefit qualitatively and quantitatively. So we're behind. I think 29% on our OPEX budget, and we are 100% on our service deliverables.
That's great. We kind of touched on this before, but I am curious because you're helping businesses with their efficiency and procedures, and has it been an advantage to you to have this this platform where they can see, oh, they're so organized, like they kind of have transparency into how you're running things in that way?
Yeah, I mean, for the clients are referring us to other clients. Yeah, and the conversation always is, you guys have done a great job the way you work with the client. It looks really interesting. And, so I think Moxo definitely helps in giving comfort and confidence that we're an open company, that we're not hiding anything, and that we're different to the competition. So it is a differentiator. So yeah, it's been definitely helpful for us. There is also a pain barrier with every client you have to break through, but once they adopt it, it's very easy. They love it. They get very used to it and they can't live without it. And so it helps retention as well.
And along those lines, is there an aspect to having a branded app as compared to just different disparate tools?
But once we go through the explanation of what it does and how it helps them, then they're like, I'll make sure it's on the home screen because I know I need to use it and I can't miss stuff on it. So they get used to that. And of course, quite a lot of what we do is remotely based. So we're not physically with the client all day. It's cost prohibitive and it's not very productive. So we are working with a lot of nomadic clients, and we're working with clients that are located in different office spaces. So for that reason, the app is very helpful to make sure that they are always able to get hold of us, and we're always able to get hold of them, because things we do are time critical.
because of your relationship, having that app, it's not just another app, it's like a touchstone to their business and their finances. Makes a lot of sense. And do you have any memorable success stories or standout moments from clients when using Moxo? I know that's kind of a broad question, but does anything come to mind?
Yeah, we did a series of customer interviews and just customer reference case studies late last year, and two of the clients we interviewed out of the five that we have published on our social media and website, they clearly referenced they have a great way of working, they've got their own app, this is really excellent, it's fantastic, it's different to the way we work with other people, it really makes a big difference to the way I look at these guys. So that was a standout. Normally I only hear, because I'm the one that gets all the problems with clients, so I only hear the problems, but all the good stuff is just overlooked. So it's very nice to hear that the good things we do are also valued and that they can speak to that.
For sure. Yeah, it's one of those roles where if it's going smoothly, you hear nothing,
Yeah, I know.
which is great. We talked about how important the collaboration is with your clients and especially the remote collaboration. Can you talk to me about how Moxo has been helpful with that? I know there are so many different tools for collaboration. I mean, there's email, there's phones, there's whatever it is. But can you talk to me about what is the standout for Moxo when it comes to collaborating with your clients?
Okay, so collaboration is audio, video, and person, right? So for us, collaboration is sharing information act on at the right time in the right way. So as a singular place that eliminates email, it doesn't email, it actually complements email, because they can still use email and they can still put it into the portal and we can get our hands on it. But what can be eliminated is WhatsApp. What can be eliminated is, Zoom and other communication, audio, video communication, and all of that can be contained in one place. So for us, that ability to unify our engagement and retain and record and control is very helpful. And I think for clients, it's very helpful as well, because they're not forever searching for that little bit of information we shared some time back. They're able to find it within their respective conversations or workflows. Now, we organize a lot of this anyway because, everything gets cluttered, but we file it for them very nicely. And that's very helpful from a compliance point of view from any government body as well. So for them, it becomes, I can't find this stuff on my SharePoint. I can't find this stuff on OneDrive or Google Drive. I know where it is. I know they've got it, and they have filed it. Oh, I found it. So we're always the backup, and we're always able to kind of help them through and get hands on data and information they don't really store properly because we do it for them. So there's a number of things that it does control, for the client, because it's a good retention and compliance retention type tool. But for us, it's eliminating lots of different systems where data can be isolated and conversations are isolated, and to consolidate that and to enable us to make sure that a whole set of people are also party to that conversation and collaboration.
Yeah. And along those lines too, as a client, to be able to see that organization and to know that, have that access to the history as well. It's something that you're right. Email it's a complement and people will always use email, but there's something about those threads and attachments and new messages where it just it feels like chaos almost. So
Yeah,
that
it
makes
does feel like chaos, and I always feel email, I've got this many emails, or there's a WhatsApp there, and what's that about? And I've got to connect this to this, and the client is doing the same thing, and that makes it frustrating and stressful. Where if it's just in one place, it's organized in one place, they can search it in one place, they can see it in one place, it feels more zen-like, feels more under control.
Yeah, more simple, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm curious along the lines of a flow. And we had talked before about just using the templates and things like that. But what did flow mean for your business as far as efficiency and how you use flow?
It creates, for us, it created the ability to predictably plan a type of project and to track deviation from the plan. Yeah, and to ensure no key improvements, no key steps are overlooked, and they are fully maintained and report on that.
Makes sense. And do you use it for through onboarding? Like what different processes do you use?
Oh, there's lots. We have about 20 flows, 30 flows now, and they're not only client facing, but they're also internal. Yeah, so we use it for internal procedures as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to know, you come from a tech background, and I was seeing you actually come from a chemistry background as well. Seems like you have a pretty wide
I get
range of
bored easily.
what's that?
I get bored easily.
Yeah. But it's that problem solving,
Yeah.
same sort of mindset. So in the future of your industry and just sort of that client facing efficiency and that collaboration, that sort of remote collaboration that you need, what do you see as the emerging trends? Where do you see the future of that going?
Okay, so if we look at the environment we operate in, we work with it in the context of regulation. Yeah, so there's a regulation element there. The other thing is companies are always looking to automate and simplify and streamline and digitize, right? So digitization is extremely key. Now, within the regulatory framework, most authorities worldwide, and particularly in the GCC, are digitizing heavily. And they're making everything digital. Tax digital, reporting digital, everything's digital. So that means that things are going to have to be done faster. And they're going to have to be done better because technology will be able to find problems faster. And you cannot avoid mistakes. So for us, a key part of what we're trying to think about as a business now, in terms of the tools we use, is how can we use them to minimize human error? And that brings into the picture AI. Yeah, so AI has a role in complementing human activity. It cannot be perfect because AI doesn't have the benefit of precedence and understanding empirical judgment and all this stuff yet. Even generative AI, you have to really train it very hard. But it can take a role in minimizing human error. So that's what we're thinking about, is how do we use AI to minimize human error? How do we use it to automate more? And how do we use it to save money through dealing with repetitive tasks?
Especially with regulations, because like you said, it's you can't miss anything. There are dire consequences. And so to have that those automated workflows to make sure every step is followed, but then to also have that exception handling with your clients where you're able to have those conversations and have that that problem solving and things like that.
So a simple use case, we've been thinking about is client has a problem, they ask a question related to this particular aspect of X. Right. Let's put an AI in there and say, what do you think? Right? Let's ask it a little bit more refined question. what's the answer, right? And the person can get a lot of research already done and say, okay, I get that, but I can tailor this because I know this client has these other factors in there, and the answer is more comprehensive and complete.
Well, I really appreciate your time. It was great learning more, and I'm glad that it's been effective in your business. All right. Well, thanks
Have a
so
nice
much.
evening. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah,
Bye
have a
bye.
great day.